So, as we were talking about a little bit with Shama, Mamdani went on with Wacky Jen Psaki to talk about why he won and how he won.
It is part of a larger referendum on where our party goes. And I think one of the hopes that we had from the very beginning of this campaign was to move our political instinct from lecturing to listening. You know, at the national level, after the presidential election, we saw that New York was actually the state with the largest swing in the country towards Donald Trump, 11.5 points, and that swing took place far from the caricature of Trump voters, instead taking place in the hearts of immigrant New York City. And I went to those neighborhoods. I went to Fordham Road in the Bronx and Hillside Avenue in Queens, and I asked those New Yorkers, the vast majority of whom were Democrats, why they voted for Trump and what it would take to bring them back to the Democratic Party. And again, what I heard from them was cost of living, was an inability to afford the very things they recalled being able to purchase 4 years ago. And when they told me what it would take, they said again and again, a relentless focus on an economic agenda. And ultimately, in listening to them, we built a campaign that was explicitly about making this city affordable.
Okay, so that was his earliest ads were him going out into, I think, Jackson Heights and talking to people there about why they voted for Trump. Now, this is something we on the left have long said is necessary, that you have to go talk to these working class people who have flipped over to Trump and bring them over to your economic agenda because they have the most to gain from it. And you're not gonna get any real movement going without them. And he did that. I am personally happy to see him go, as Shama was pointing out, anywhere to send that message. I don't think you need to just come to podcasts like ours. I mean, I would love it if he would come on our podcast. But yeah, I don't think it's disqualifying to reach the shitlib audience. I think that's something we should be trying to do.
Oh, it's New York. I mean, it's a Democrat-dominated town. You got to
Right.
fish where there are fish.
Yeah, let's not talk to Democrats to
Right.
win in
Yeah.
New York. Ann Coulter. The smart guys have to get together and pick one candidate to back in the general. Cuomo's dead and Slee was ridiculous. Move on. I say Eric Adams. So it does look like the goons, the usual suspects, are going to go with a rally around Adams approach, although Bill Ackman, in his aforementioned novel on X, basically put out a call. Hey, there's plenty of time. Anyone want to run as an independent? Because I got the cash. Anyone more likable than Eric Adams want my money? I don't think anyone's going to take him up on it. But this is what Eric Adams said on Fox.
It's not just defund the police. This candidate, Democratic Socialist, he wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion.
I'm just going to debunk that. Like most of the people who were in the defund the police movement, not all, but most, he's not advocating for defunding the police. He's advocating for adding social service workers to the possible responses, because there are many situations, like I myself experienced. If you've been watching the show for a long time, you might remember my former landlord's mentally ill son used to live downstairs, rub shit on the walls, and destroy the water system in the building. And he would get arrested and they'd bring him to jail. I didn't want to see. Does a guy like that really belong in jail? Should he go to jail? I mean, clearly, right? I mean, so that's what he's talking about.
A debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage. How can someone vote for this?
How could anyone vote for higher wages and free buses?
Mm-hmm. He would say and do anything to get elected.
Well, that's what's so insane. Like the whole narrative, like they lay out a bunch of stuff. You know, the one thing that most people wouldn't want, to defund the police, is not true. That's not what he's planning on doing. They had to frame it that way. Everything else in a city where the rent just went up because they changed the law so you can't charge a broker fee anymore, and the landlords responded by raising rents 15%.
Wow.
A couple weeks ago, rents went up 15%. In a city where the rent was already hitting record highs. I think it's up over $5,000 average rent a month. And you're gonna go on Fox and go, he wants to freeze the rent.
Right.
That's pretty out of touch.
Think about this for a moment. He wants to raise 1%. He wants to raise tax on 1% of New York's high-income earners. As the mayor, you don't have the authority to do that. You know who has the authority to do that? An assemblyman, which he is. He wants to do free buses. He could have.
All right. So Eric Adams is a lying degenerate. He was the first politician I ever confronted on the street for the show. And he gave me the runaround because I asked him about why he supported solitary confinement. And he said he didn't, and I should look it up. And then next time I see him, thank him for getting rid of solitary confinement. He changed the name to something like punitive isolation. Yeah, it was the same exact thing. He changed. That's Eric Adams. What he's saying now is nonsense. This is like saying you don't have the power as the president to change taxes. Congress has that power. That's basically what he's saying. Yeah, you as the mayor have the bully pulpit, and you need the council to actually enact the law. You can't do it by fiat. But people who know absolutely nothing, which I would say most Fox viewers qualify, not that MSNBC is any better, he knows he can just pour out this nonsense to try to discredit Mamdani when the whole premise just makes no sense.
Done it at assemblyman. He doesn't understand the power of government and how you must making sure you improve your economy, raise the standard of living. And this is what we've done in the city. And I'm looking forward to being on the campaign trail and showing New Yorkers we can't go backwards. And New Yorkers never surrender or quit. I'm never going to quit for the city that I love.
That is so interesting. You're in the position, so you know you don't have the authority to do that. Yet he's running on all these promises he's not going to be able to fulfill. And
oh, really? The mayor can't just go in and rule like a king. Who knew? Who knew? So James Carville, as you can imagine, is probably not going to be volunteering for the Mamdani campaign.
James, you don't really see it because you just go to Soho and the Upper East Side and the West Side, or Midtown or whatever. Okay, great. I do go through neighborhoods all over New York, and I can't tell you how many of these grocery stores they are. I think they call them bodegas. They're literally on every block. I don't even understand what he's talking about. Is he talking about maybe expanding food pantries? I don't know.
I think they call them bodegas. They usually have a cat. That cat comes up on me. I kick that motherfucker. I hate those goddamn cats.
You got a cat running up in here. All I'm looking for is a pot of raw crawfish I can boil alive.
How am I going to get a sandwich? I don't know that cat might be rubbing his little cat on the cold cuts. So, all right. So what he says is just stupid. So what Mamdani is proposing is the city has all this land. It has all this real estate that it already owns. Apparently, I've got to look into the details on this, but nobody has said it's not true, so I assume it is true. He says we subsidize supermarkets with $150 million already. So he's saying he wants to take $60 million to subsidize public markets so you don't have any overhead, you don't have any rent going into the price of the groceries, and then you can sell the groceries directly through the store.
Who is this guy, this host? That shirt looks like one of my shirts. I look. This is me in 40 years. Me in 40 years sitting through one of your Disney segments. That's gonna be me when the camera cuts to me.
Please clap.